Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Mountain Murders Midweek. I'm Heather.
And I'm Dylan.
And I'm very disappointed in you, Dylan.
Why?
Before we pressed the red record button, you were botching the song from Willy Wonka
Yeah.
and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, I wanted you to come with me.
You were like, come with me. Because you didn't know the lyrics.
I didn't for a second, but then you corrected me. Whoa.
The world of pure imagination, Dylan.
Yeah, well, come over there with me to that place.
I don't want to, because just putting my eyes on you makes me feel violent.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
What did you ever do to the sky to make him so violent? Ooh, we're gonna talk about Weezer. Ooh. Are you ready?
Yeah. Wow.
Well, Dylan, the wife of Weezer bassist Scott Schreiner was shot by cops during a wild and wacky chase in Los Angeles.
Oh, my gosh.
And then she was booked for attempted murder.
So she had an interesting evening out.
Someone really unraveled this bitch's sweater, okay? California Highway Patrol. I can speak English today. California Highway Patrol and LAPD officers responded to a hit and run Tuesday afternoon on a freeway winding through the Eagle Rock neighborhood of Los Angeles. 3 suspects fled the scene on foot. One bailed out of his vehicle, climbed over a freeway embankment, and ended up on a residential street. The suspect stripped off some of his clothing, trying to blend into the neighborhood, and it didn't work out so well for him.
They're like, so he's in a neighborhood of half-naked people?
I guess. What makes you think if you take your clothes off, they won't know it's you?
Well, he must have had a T-shirt with a long sleeve with a short sleeve over, the super cool move from back in the day.
Oh, yeah, okay. So as cops scoured the area, officers went into the backyard of a house where the suspect had fled. Scott's wife, Jillian Lauren, emerged from the couple's home next door with a gun in hand, and it's unclear, I guess at this point, whether or not she fired. Officers yelled at her to drop the weapon, but cops say she ignored multiple commands, and LAPD says she then pointed her weapon at officers. They fired, striking her shoulder. She then ran back into the house. 30 minutes later, Lauren and her babysitter, I'm assuming for her children, unless maybe she needs a babysitter.
I was going to say it's her babysitter.
Which sounds like she needs a conservatorship. 30 minutes later, Lauren and the babysitter emerged from the house with their hands up and surrendered to cops. Law enforcement then took Lauren into custody. Well, first they took her to the hospital, treated her for a non-life-threatening gunshot wound, and then booked her. So she was booked into custody on an attempted murder charge. LAPD say officers recovered a 9mm handgun at the residence. The original suspect was then apprehended. The 2 other from the car wreck are still on the loose. But, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Lauren has written a book called Some Girls, My Life in a Harem, which chronicles her time as a guest of the Prince of Brunei.
Oh.
Yeah, so Weezer is set to perform at Coachella this weekend. So this happens just as they're going to play the big show.
Oh, I wonder if at any point she screamed, "Do you know who my husband is?"
I don't know.
So, what? So the cops are just doing their job.
Yep.
It's LA. It's crazy. It's a wild, wacky chase. And she comes out like, what's going on? I have my gun. And then she's met with police, put the weapon down, and she ignores them.
Yeah.
Now, I wonder if she was like high or something. Oh, what's going on here?
I don't know. I feel like you would have to be high to become a harem girl for the Prince of Brunei, just saying.
And they shot her in the shoulder?
Yes.
And she still went in the house and was like, I don't need paramedics or anything. I'm good.
I can't.
What? And so they only shot her once in the shoulder, right? That's white privilege.
You
right
think
there.
so?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Well, they didn't shoot 200 times, from all different angles.
Well, that's true.
So, yeah, let's start that conversation.
All right, Dylan. This has to be one of the most disturbing and bizarre cases that I've talked about in a minute. I just can't imagine being a guest at this hotel. We got to talk about this. Nadine Marie Tillman disappeared after meeting a kayak tour guide named Dylan Lamb, who is now charged with her murder. Authorities in Florida arrested this kayak tour guide in connection with the death of a woman whose body was found inside a closet at a resort, where guests unwittingly spent a night with the corpse in the same room.
Oh my gosh.
43-year-old Tillman was found fatally beaten inside a room at the Amore Dive Resort, which is in Key Largo, Florida. This was back on Tuesday, April 8th. Later that day, authorities arrested a 33-year-old named Dylan Lamb, who, according to NBC Miami, is a kayak tour guide, on a murder charge in connection with Tillman's killing. Tillman was found by officers responding to a report of a missing person after a family member told police they hadn't heard from her since Saturday morning, which is unusual. Investigators learned that Tillman and Lamb allegedly met on Saturday morning at the resort where Lamb was staying. And then Tillman's body was found in the room Lamb had rented. Lamb, who checked into the resort on Friday, reportedly refused to leave the room when he was asked by hotel staff to move to another room to make space for new guests. An unnamed law enforcement source told the news outlet, the Miami Herald, that after Lamb checked out of his room on Sunday, cleaning staff found bloodied sheets stuffed into a large waste basket. But they did not notify authorities because, I guess it's normal to find bloody sheets piled up in a trash can.
It's just bloody sheets in a hotel room.
I mean... Dang. Someone was just surfing the Crimson Wave, and what are we doing here, bud?
It gets crazy in hotels. You never know what's happening.
Dude, I knew someone who worked as like a bellhop in kind of a swanky hotel, and they said there was all sorts of crazy shit that went on. And after guests would check out, it was like this common thing for housekeeping and like the bell staff and all that to like kind of laugh and joke about some of the shit that was left behind in these hotel rooms.
I could only imagine.
Yeah.
I'm sure
people having like wild, crazy sex parties, tons of sex toys left behind. Like, why would you leave them behind? Those are expensive.
Damn. They just got money to burn. Look, if you just run around leaving like a trail of throwaway dildos, you got jacked.
Why you got a collection of fleshlights just hanging out in the closet of your hotel? I guess it's better than a dead body. So new guests spent at least one night in that same room with Tillman's corpse, reportedly unaware that there was a dead body in the crawl space of the air conditioning closet. So I guess it wasn't a clothing closet, it's the air conditioning closet.
Well, I never opened the regular closet.
Yeah, I know. I was like, who would look in the air conditioning closet?
Well, I don't, I guess they have it where you can put all your stuff completely away, which I've
Have you ever known those people?
That put everything away like they're moving in?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But
I do know those people.
What is up with that?
They unpack like everything in the suitcase. They hang it up. They put all their clothes in the drawers and organize it. I mean, I guess I get it, but at the same time, I'm pretty lazy, and I barely organize my closet at home. I did that yesterday, and it was quite a chore.
I was going to say, I don't put all my stuff away at home.
Yeah,
so,
I know.
I don't know that I would do it whilst on vacation.
Well, I did the whole thing where you, like, change out your winter to summer wardrobe yesterday. And then, of course, packed up all of my winter stuff into like little totes, and then took the summer stuff out of the totes, hung it up. And it's amazing. I have like 4 million empty hangers now.
Oh.
Yeah. So I have to figure out what I'm going to do with all these clothes hangers.
Well, see,
besides beat you with them and scream, no, why are hangers? Ah!
My wardrobes are actually small enough that they live together.
You don't even really have a wardrobe, bud.
Well, I have stuff. It's clothes I wear.
You got a couple things.
That's my clothes.
I can't get you to buy anything. It really bugs me. And when I'll offer to buy you something. Like, if we're going to go out, I'm like, let me get you a new shirt. And you'll be like, no. But then you complain that you don't have anything to wear.
Well, no, every time you do buy me stuff, like we blow a tire out or something, it's like bad luck for me to buy stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's my Mothman. Is me getting like 2 quality shirts.
because then something bad's going to happen.
Yes, it's a harbinger of doom.
And then you're going to regret that you spent like $60 on a pair of jeans or
Yes.
something. Okay. The Amaray Dive Resort, I don't know why I keep on to call it like the Amaray Drive Resort, but the dive resort didn't comment when they were contacted by People magazine. According to the Monroe County arrest roster, Lamb has been charged with second-degree murder, kidnapping, evidence destroying, and procuring another for prostitution. So you tell me he killed this woman and then went and like got a hooker?
Why is it second degree, I wonder?
I'm not sure.
I guess the evidence will come out in the future.
Dylan, we have got to take a moment here to discuss Lori Vallow. I recently listened to a podcast on the Daybell Vallow case, and all I can say is she is like super fucking trash, dude. She's so trashy.
She's really gross.
She and her brother like had some weird incestuous flirtation, and it's pretty. She's just gross, dude.
No, just the fact that anybody, and Daybell's a fucking moron, right? I mean, he's just a big old dumb meat-headed idiot. And the fact that anyone ever looked up to this person or thought that they were like intelligent or some kind of a leader, it really blows my mind. Because I recently also listened to because I never had really... I knew all the details. I mean, it was beat to death in the media.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did they go this long without knowing something's wrong? You know, unfortunately, it took the kids disappearing and other family members kind of raising the alarm bell.
Yeah, but it was like people had made multiple calls to law enforcement. Like over and over and over again, reporting that like these family members are missing, like the wife's missing, the husband's like... what happened to these people and the kids, and I feel like law enforcement just didn't take it seriously at all.
Well, I mean, it was obvious there was some kind of a problem, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that many people don't go missing around someone, you know?
It's very strange. Well, I don't know if you know this, Dylan, but Lori Vallow is defending herself. She's acting as her own attorney.
I was aware.
The case that's being prosecuted currently in Arizona, where she is on trial for allegedly conspiring to kill her fourth husband. It's a lot of husbands. Lori, representing herself, told a jury on Monday, April 7th, that she didn't conspire to kill her estranged husband, Charles Vallow, for his $1 million life insurance policy, as prosecutors allege. Now, this is what she said here, Dylan. As the state has mentioned, I should do it in my Lori voice.
Do.
As the state has mentioned, they are allowing that insurance money was my motive. Spouses having insurance policies is not a crime.
Until you kill them for it.
Self-defense is not a crime. And this is another quote. A family tragedy is not a crime. It's a tragedy.
This is going to be one of the modern day precedent cases that's cited for, decades to come.
Charles was fatally shot twice in the chest by Lori's brother, Alex Cox, at Lori's Chandler, Arizona home back on July 11th of 2019. Cox, who claimed self-defense, was never charged with the killing and ended up dying of natural causes in December of 2019. On the day of the killing, Lori claimed Charles showed up at her Chandler home in a rental car, came inside, and started yelling at her. She alleged that her daughter, Tylee Ryan, tried to protect her with a baseball bat, and that Tylee and Charles began to fight over the bat. She said Alex intervened, and the two men got into a physical altercation, kind of trying to struggle for this bat or whatever, and fell onto the ground. And she says that the evidence is going to show that after the struggle on the ground between Charles and Alex, that Charles prevailed with the bat and began to come towards me, meaning Lori, with the bat, and that she ran away from him into the kitchen. And that the evidence is going to show that this was all self-defense.
Okay.
Right? I mean, this bitch.
What if it was?
I just don't believe it.
What if it was self-defense? What if her kids really were zombies?
Because you know what she did to what she did to this man is cray-cray. So he, goes on a business trip out of town. She empties out, all of their money.
Well, stealing money from your spouse is not a crime.
Well, she took, all of the money, left him, with $0. Like, and he's like stranded in like Houston or Dallas. Like he's out of state on business, like flew into another state. And she calls him, basically tells him like, it's over. I'm leaving you. We're done. He can't even get money to get home. He had to borrow money from a friend to get a flight back home.
That would suck.
Like she took all this man's money.
I would be pissed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not
Like,
the way
she
to
did
go
him
about
dirty.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And JJ, the younger boy who was also murdered by Lori and what's his name? Cowbell?
Chad Cowbell.
Chad Cowbell. That poor boy, like he was autistic. He was actually like her nephew. And it sounds like she was pretty terrible to that kid. Like they adopted him because I'm not sure. I think his parents had substance abuse issues. And they adopted him. And it sounds like Charles, was pretty good to the boy. But Lori was kind of terrible to this kid. Like she wasn't very nice to him.
She's just a horrible person.
I just think she's a fucking bitch, dude.
She's a monster. She's a selfish bitch. And that's what all this... that's what made all this happen. Her and Chad were both very selfish people who got people to believe their bullshit for some reason, and they just would use people and throw them away. I mean, it was really terrible.
They're both so gross.
And I'm so glad she is defending herself.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get a few more good sound bites out of that trial.
Yeah.
So they can finally sentence her officially and send her away. And I hope somebody beats the shit out of her in prison like every other day.
Let's hope. So a New Jersey woman is accused of hiring a man that she met on Tinder to kill her police officer ex-boyfriend and his daughter, according to authorities.
Okay.
Jacqueline Diorio, 26, was charged with 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder, 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder, and 1 count of third-degree possession of a controlled dangerous substance in connection with the alleged crime. Diorio of Runnymede, New Jersey, probably not saying that correctly, told a confidential informant she met on Tinder that she wanted her ex, a 53-year-old Philadelphia police officer, and his 19-year-old daughter killed. The informant and Diorio allegedly exchanged several phone calls and text messages after meeting on the dating app and later in person at a Wawa.
So she has went an interesting route of finding an assassin on Tinder, right?
Yes.
So she swipes right on me.
Let's meet at the Wawa.
We start texting.
Which would be the equivalent of you trying to meet somebody at the QT, Dylan.
And just, I mean, who does this? You really think someone's going to be like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll kill these 2 people for you?
Diorio's ex, the police officer, told authorities that he met the 26-year-old woman because she was his barber. He further said they broke up on March 6th, and in the summer of 2024, Diorio filed a restraining order against the officer that was ultimately dropped. The officer also told New Jersey authorities that his home had been vandalized by a Molotov cocktail in September of 2022.
Damn, it's a modern-day fatal attraction.
Police allege that Diorio offered to pay the informant $12,000 to kill both victims. She was pretty adamant about killing her ex-boyfriend, according to statements from the informant. Diorio met the informant on April 4th in Gloucester Township and gave him $500 in cash as an initial upfront payment. Police then took Diorio into custody, and yeah, so I guess maybe don't look for a hitman on Tinder. I'm just going out on a limb here.
You have to do it yourself. It never works out when you try to find a proxy to do your murder.
All right. Now, a few weeks ago, Dylan, we discussed Bryan Kohberger and how his defense is trying to use an autism diagnosis that may come up at the murder trial to say, that he shouldn't get the death penalty. Well, a judge has ruled that they can't use this defense. Kohberger appeared in court Wednesday, and the conversation turned to his recent diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, which the judge made clear should not be used by the state of Idaho during the sentencing phase if he is found guilty as an aggravating factor. Kohberger's attorney argued the diagnosis should keep him from being sentenced to death. An aggravating factor is a factor in the case which makes the crime even more heinous, such as like premeditation, committing the act in front of a child, showing lack of remorse. Those are just a few examples. So the judge is basically granting the defense's request. Judge Steve Hippler says the state shouldn't make such an argument using Kohberger's diagnosis if they reach the penalty phase. So don't expect to hear it if he's found guilty.
I've never heard... Would the state make that argument that him having autistic spectrum disorder is an aggravating factor?
Well, I'm kind of confused because the judge is saying autism can't be
argued as
a death penalty factor, but this article is saying that the judge seems to be saying I'm not really clear here.
Well, it sounds almost like he's directing to the defense that that's not going to be a factor in the sentencing phase of the trial.
Well, Judge Hippler made it clear that's all he's stopping the prosecution from doing for now, and that other arguments regarding Kohberger's autism spectrum disorder will be handled individually. So it sounds like maybe what you're saying is the judge is like, hey, this isn't really gonna come up.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, the judge didn't rule in favor of the defense, and while the prosecution can't use it as an aggravating factor, it sounds like the judge ruled it can't be used as a mitigating factor either, maybe?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I mean, I think we've talked about this before. Autism doesn't make you commit crimes.
No, it's not. I don't think it works like that. You can't
use that as an excuse because that doesn't make you commit crimes.
And another thing is this huge spectrum that autism is discussed in, which I know there is a spectrum. I know you can be, my mind, would I say very autistic, or there's just so many different flavors of autism, which is true.
Well, yeah.
I completely believe.
They say if you've met one autistic person, you've met one because they're very, very, very individualized.
But Bryan Kohberger was a functioning student. And most accounts, people say he was good, or
quite intelligent,
highly accomplished,
good student
for the most part. So I don't think that you should be able to bring that in at all. If he has a few autistic characteristics.
Bud is studying criminal justice, right? He's I guess a mentor was Catherine Ramsland. And, she's worked with, as a profiler and has, kind of worked around a lot of serial killers, that kind of thing. So if you're a criminal justice major, and isn't he getting his, master's or something?
Well, yeah, but he was, the teacher's assistant.
Yeah, I'm like, you can't tell me that you don't know the different, you don't know right from wrong.
Yes.
You don't know murder is wrong. You don't know it's against the law.
Thank you.
You can't blame autism and say, well, he just didn't know because he's on the spectrum.
He didn't know any better.
He was literally studying it. What?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
It's such bullshit, and it's a slap in the face of people with autism that deal with, a lot of issues and hardships at times.
Dylan, this is one of those, just get your face ready to be palmed, right?
Okay.
The vice president of the Buffalo, New York chapter of Bikers Against Child Abuse was arrested Wednesday for sex crimes against children.
See, that's what I'm talking. What? They should get extra charges for that.
John Tadero, 49 of Amherst, was allegedly found to be in possession of child pornography following an internet crimes against children investigation. He was also disseminating child pornography. Police said Tadero would have had opportunities to be around children in his role. He was charged with promoting a sexual performance by a child and possessing a sexual performance by a child. He was released on his own recognizance, which is fucked. And he's expected back in court in May. So here you got this fucking dude with child porn, and he's passing around child porn, and you're just going to let him sign himself out? We're not even going to give this dude a bond?
Yeah, he doesn't even get a bond. Well, that's what happened. The system protects these people because the people at the top of the system like this kind of stuff. I know that I'm telling you, there's got to be a reason why we're not tougher, and the laws are not much more. What's the right? Anyway, much harsher towards this type of behavior, and you see it all the way down the line.
Or
right?
how our government can just lose like 85,000 children and it's like no big deal.
Well, it's
and nobody seems to care, and like what happens to them. Yeah, I know.
It's the modern day orphan trains, right?
Or the kids that go missing from foster care that like we don't know they just vanish.
They ran away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard someone today. I was listening to another pod, and they were talking about the Franklin scandal, the big Johnny Ghosh. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
And all that. And it reminded me how freaking insane that story really is.
That story is fucked.
It is totally fucked. And
if you ever talk about like child sex trafficking and that stuff, people automatically are like, oh, well, you're part of this, you're QAnon, and like you're crazy and whatever.
Yeah.
Which, let's be honest, we're finding out. I mean, I don't want to be a QAnon person, but for years and years, people have, acted like conspiracy theorists or whatever, or just fucking nuts. And then it's kind of interesting to me that all these truths have been exposed, and maybe the conspiracy theorists aren't so crazy.
I'm nowhere near QAnon, and long before QAnon
was
ever
this
come
Franklin
up,
child.
I had this theory of my own as to why this is allowed to exist around the world. Now and again, you'll get a couple of wins, and they'll sacrifice some people, and then but it's always very quickly swept away. Something like Lori Vallow will be talked about for 5 years straight.
But we can't get the Epstein list.
But his island just recently sold for $60 million. Like, who's going to buy this island with this horrible energy? Some other weirdo, probably.
Yeah, well, I'm convinced that only weirdos have $60 million.
You don't want a private island?
They're a bunch of rich weirdos. Yeah, I do. But only for the fact that I just don't want to be bothered.
You just would have just you?
Yeah.
No servants?
Nah, pretty much it'd just be me.
Yeah.
I might let you visit sometimes. It'd just be me and Rufus.
No, I'm going to the island now.
Just a lady and her dog.
We'll have them airdrop like supplies.
Just a lady and her little dog rotting by a beach somewhere. Yep, that's us.
Sounds terrible. Sounds
so fucking terrible, Dylan. Now, this is a case that hits a little close to home for us, at least our old home. A Waynesville woman, so a Waynesville, North Carolina woman, was recently sentenced to close to 6 years in prison for embezzling at least $1.5 million from a senior assisted living facility in Canton, North Carolina.
That happens a lot around there for some reason.
This is so disgusting to me, and I believe this woman deserves way more than 6 years.
Wait, now, is this the woman at the Silver Bluff facility? Okay.
All right, so the U.S. District Attorney Court for the Western District of North Carolina in Asheville sentenced Amy Elizabeth Curry, 48, to 70 months, which is 5 years, 10 months in prison. Her term will be followed by 3 years of supervised release. Now, this woman, Dylan... This was not the most genius con. In addition to this, she will be ordered to pay the facility $1.46 million in restitution. Good luck getting that out of her. Now, according to court records and proceedings, Curry worked as an office manager and bookkeeper at Silver Bluff, which is a senior living and care facility in Canton. And as part of her duties, Curry had access to and control over Silver Bluff's bank accounts and accounting records. From December 2020 to April of 2023, Curry made at least 154 unauthorized bank transfers totaling over $1.5 million from the facility's bank accounts to bank accounts that were controlled by herself and her then boyfriend, who is only listed as JC. Now, to avoid detection, Curry deleted the wire transfer history from Silver Bluff's bank accounts and altered the notification settings to prevent any Silver Bluff employees and management from receiving any alerts.
So she thinks it all just goes away because she deleted it off that side, right?
She also made handwritten notes on Silver Bluff's bank statements, falsely noting that the fraudulent transfers were for payroll. According to court records, Curry used the embezzled funds to pay for personal expenses, including the purchase of a pickup truck.
This is about so country. There's probably, it was either going to be a pickup truck or a pontoon boat. Look,
I want a pontoon.
This dumbass. I remember when this broke, and I was just like, "What?" She was just transferring directly from Silver Bluff's account to her account. That was her big scheme.
But a large portion of this embezzled money, over $700,000, went to gambling at casinos.
I will never understand these people that steal. I saw a story of some bank manager or somebody had some control in the bank. $400,000 go missing, and then there's like a fire, quote unquote, in the vault. There, the alarm was rigged to look like it started a fire and burned up. There's like a little pile of ash, and the woman's like, "Well, there's the money. Gosh, look at that! It burned up." And then down the street, the cops had a hunch. They look at the records for a casino down the street, literally, and guess what? There's a record of her gambling and losing approximately $400,000. So you're not even like, what gain is that to go piss it away for 3 or 4, couple of weeks?
Well, Amy Curry here, she claimed, she just has a really bad gambling addiction. And I'm like, well, bitch, you gambled on one thing, but you didn't gamble. You know what you didn't gamble on? You didn't take a chance on yourself.
She gambled when she got with JC. I'm going to guarantee that. But look, here's the silliness aside. This is a small facility in a underfunded county. Let's be honest. And I'm sure it's been a real struggle for them to weather this storm.
No, they didn't weather it because the owner had to shutter the doors. This was like her family's business.
Oh my gosh.
That had been in her family for a couple of generations. I think maybe her grandmother had started this business. Then her mother ran it and passed it down to her. So this is like a multi-generational family running this facility. And then this woman just swoops in here, takes over these, accounting, which, I don't want to be like, what the hell, but, you don't have any other, controls here in place. You're just going to give this woman complete control to do all this? I don't know. There was no checkup of, how's it going? And then she's going to take this money and then blow it at a casino? How ridiculous is that?
And it takes...
She didn't even buy a pontoon, Dylan.
And it takes X amount of... rooms and facility capacity off the table for this county that does not have a lot of other options.
It's really sad. I feel for the business owner. I feel for the folks who live there, who work there.
And the residents.
Absolutely. Like I said, the folks who live there. That'd be the residents, Dylan.
And the employees.
Yes. 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 Dylan, we have to talk about this because... I would never want a pet monkey.
No, they're too creepy.
Yeah. And after we saw the monkey movie?
Yeah.
I don't want a monkey.
You don't even want a toy monkey.
No, there was a lot of fires and that explosions.
I'm telling you,
I feel like a monkey would be dangerous.
One time as a kid, I went into a pet store that had exotic animals in small town America.
Did the monkey finger your butthole?
No, the monkey was throwing shit and squishing it in its little monkey hands.
and their little hands look like little kid hands.
No,
and they look very human.
It was really mean. You could tell the monkey was on one. It was mean, right? And
he didn't want to be in a damn exotic pet store in the middle of fucking nowhere, North Carolina.
And the monkey was pissed. You could tell it was possibly homicidal.
They probably made it clean the bathroom or something before they put it in the cage.
And it would throw its poo at you. Literally. And I got hit with a little, pebble, and it scarred me. And I'll never, ever have a monkey, diaper or no.
Oh my gosh, that made me think of something. Can I tell you the story?
How did a monkey throwing shit at me as a child?
Because I'm going to tell you, it reminds me, okay? Because I was like those monkeys, and they got those little baby hands. They look like little toddler hands.
It's the same reason I don't trust raccoons, but go ahead.
This one time, this was years ago, I went to the county health department because I had to have like I can't remember if it was
You had a STD.
No, I've never had one of those. What is it? TB test?
Okay,
Or whatever,
tuberculosis.
where they like
Tuberculosis.
don't they like if they prick you and then you come back a couple days later or something and they read the skin on the arm? Isn't that a TB test?
I guess.
Yeah, I think so. And I can't remember what it was for. It might have been for a job or something. I had to have like this TB test, and they did it for free at the health department or whatever. So I'm in the health department, and I was super young too. It might have been for college. I was like 19 or something, and there was this little kid in the waiting room that was just like tearing the fucking place down, right? Like a toddler. And it was wearing a diaper and like a t-shirt and like nothing else, right? And this kid was fucking maniac. And mom or whatever, grandma, whoever was with this kid was just ignoring the fuck out of this kid. And it was trashing the place and like throwing blocks and just throwing shit around and hollering and yelling and shit. And I'm just sitting over here like, what is going on? And all of a sudden that kid reaches in its diaper and like pulls out a turd, dude, and throws it across the fucking room.
Oh my gosh, just like that monkey.
Yes. And that was just like a moment I had forgotten about because it was so fucking weird and like, what the fuck? And then you just reminded me of it.
Did anybody react then?
I don't even know. I don't remember. I sort of feel like they just ignored the kid and there's like a turd in the floor and this kid's like with a shitty hand like wiping on the toys and stuff.
Oh my God. That's the kid that grows up and ends up wiping shit on the wall in a public bathroom.
That kid's probably still wearing a diaper and throwing shit around. I mean, you could just tell this kid didn't have no home training. No home training, Dylan. All right. We got to talk about this since we're back to the monkey. The original story. A woman who reportedly fostered more than 200 children over the years abused a teenage girl that she was supposed to care for and then abandoned the girl in a dirty Texas house.
That's monstrous.
Now, according to an April 6th news release from the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office and prosecuting attorney, the investigation began after the victim disappeared and was later located in Texas. Authorities arrested and charged a suspect, Brenda Dutch, on charges of neglect, child abuse, and child endangering as a result. Per a probable cause statement, the young victim told police that Dutch allegedly struck her with a paddle, wooden trim, shoes, and her hand. The victim alleged that in one instance, someone held the girl down while Dutch hit her bare buttocks. It's going to get to a monkey in a second. You're probably just like, what?
I was like, where's the monkey?
Just wait. There's a monkey in the story. The victim reportedly claimed that as punishment, Dutch would take her clothes and give them away. And the suspect once had her transported to a psychiatric hospital and then admitted to a residential facility for 9 months. According to the probable cause statement, Dutch had the girl stay with one of the suspect's friends in Texas, where she was allegedly abandoned with exotic animals in unclean conditions. Dutch allegedly told her friend she could keep the victim, but she would be, quote, she was going to be keeping the check. So Dutch was going to keep the money that I guess comes from being a foster parent, but that this friend could have the girl. I'm keeping the money.
What kind of deal is that?
I don't know. So so investigators are looking into allegations that Dutch traded the victim for a monkey.
Okay.
So a witness came forward with some information regarding the systemic abuse that was going on in the home and said that they had been asked to bring the child down to Texas and bring a monkey back in return.
You're going to trade
She's trading a child for a monkey.
And you're not even going to take care of the monkey, let's be honest.
Yes. Now, Mike Wood, who's a prosecutor, he said, quote, 2 things that really stood out was the number of children that had been fostered through that home and then the allegations of these types of abuse and emotional neglect that had been going on for what seemed to be perhaps a decade. So how do you get 200 plus foster children? And these are the kinds of conditions the children's are living in.
Well, see, this is the part of the system that really kind of allows or for lack of a better term, fosters these terrible people taking part in the system to be custodians of these children for the wrong reason, just to get the money. They want to put very little back into the children's well-being, and it just seems to me like it wouldn't be that hard to like do some follow-up, maybe spot visit, little surprise visits or reviews. I understand the system's overworked and all that, underfunded, blah, blah, blah. But how much could it really cost to have someone whose job is to pick 5 foster homes in the area and make a surprise, 30-minute visit to each one of them every single day? I don't understand why they act like there's no way to figure out that these people are doing these types of things.
The victim was reportedly transported to Child Protective Services in Texas, and Dutch was booked into the Lincoln County Jail on a $250,000 bond. So she traded a child for a monkey. And I'm telling you, dude, if you see this old lady, look at her. She looks like Joey Bro.
Oh,
the
God.
Dude who like sings on TikTok all the time. Does she look like him? And he's got like nunchucks.
That's a woman?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
God.
Yeah, she's got that blonde kind of mullety. She looks like Joey Bro. Like if Joey Bro had a sister.
So it looks like it's the Tiger King's grandmother.
Yes. Yes. Yes, she does. Now, Dylan, that is it for our crime news today. But I found this article and I just felt like we had to talk about it real quick.
Okay.
Because in my opinion, it's a crime. The headline is, quote, "I attended orgasm camp in Joshua Tree. Here's what I learned about sex." In my opinion, it's a crime if you have to pay $15,000 to go to orgasm camp because you don't know how to have one.
It costs $15,000?
It costs $15,000, Dylan, to learn how to orgasm in the desert. They're going to teach you how to come in the desert.
I feel like I've never been to the desert, but I feel like I could if I needed to. If I went there, I could come at any minute.
So it's organized by a group called Back to the Body, and they cater only to women who can afford to shell out $15,000 to learn how to orgasm at their little retreats in the California desert. They are serious about privacy, as you might imagine. Who's forking over that kind of cash for the big O? And why can't you figure it out on your own?
You think they got like really hot?
There's a lot of free materials out there, right? To kind of teach you how to Dougie.
You think they got like high paid gigolos out there or something?
Gigolos?
Yeah.
Is that what we're calling them?
Yeah.
You're like a terabyte?
Yeah.
My gigolo is very vibrant.
Get over here for this download.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Hey, my name's JC. I'm your gigolo for the evening.
$50 will get you one hell of a vibrator. Just saying.
$15,000. Is it like a week-long camp?
It's a 7-day retreat. Yeah. So I guess this woman says that it wasn't just an orgasm retreat. It was a full-blown sexual awakening.
Oh, yeah.
Well, for $15,000, it better awaken something. Okay?
She could have brought me a box of Marlboro Lights and a 12-pack of Mountain Dew, and I'd showed her everything she needs.
So you get certified somatic sex educators, erotic play, hands-on workshops, tantric meditations, and even live demonstrations. She says, quote, "Think teasing, receiving, show and tells, fantasy enactments, rope play, and decadent meals in between." I'm like, you can get all this on Pornhub for free. I can get all that. I don't need to pay $15,000.
Yeah, and you can watch stuck porn.
I don't want to watch live role-playing fantasy enactments.
I like to watch people.
Are they dressed like pirates? Like we're talking about, like it's a fantasy reenactment. I mean,
Yarr.
Is someone dressed like a pirate? Is King Arthur going to pull out his big sword and slay my dragon? I mean,
Excalibur.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. This is something that people, this rich people shit Here you have these lonely, ignored. I guess that is, you said it's for women, so lonely, ignored women.
This is criminal.
They got these business, highfalutin business, career-oriented husbands who ignore them all the time. And this
Is that what you think it is?
Yeah, and you can just go out here in the desert and whatever happens at Joshua Tree stays at Joshua Tree. And that sounds like you're basically paying for someone to go flick your bean for you. It sounds like prostitution.
I mean, I don't know what it is.
It's undercover prostitution.
It's something. It's something that I will not participate in.
With a gourmet meal.
With a gourmet meal in between.
Which I think could really add to it.
You do?
Yeah, because food's really good.
Well, I agree. But, I mean, if I'm going, I'm probably just paying for the food. I don't want to see all this in person. I don't need help with all that. And if you're my age and you need help with that and you got to pay somebody to show you how,
right?
That's a crime.
Well, you know what?
You should just explore your own body for free.
I explored mine.
We know you have.
And I barely made it back.
Oh gosh. Was it a desert?
It was like the Oregon.
You were like alone in the desert.
It was like the Oregon Trail up this motherfucker.
Oh my gosh! You had to stop at Fort Bridgers for some flour.
Yeah, I need some staples, Heather. What the fuck?
You got to make some hardtack?
Yeah, I need some supplies.
Okay. Well, Dylan, it's been great chatting with you today.
And you know what? This is like the second week in a row we've been all, pretty much in midweek. So we're back to the About Murders midweek.
We're back.
And I'd like to thank our new patrons, our old patrons, and our listeners, because you guys, sometimes it gets tough for us, and I'm sure it kind of
help us keep the train rolling.
It comes across in the energy. Sometimes you're like, these motherfuckers, But I think we're back.
You guys are like our own personal retreat into the desert.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, you're our orgasm camp.
Yeah, we don't have to pay $15,000. We got y'all.
Yeah. So we feel like the energy's back.
It's y'all's fault.
Going to pump out a couple of Patreon episodes.
Oh, you're going to pump
soon.
it out.
Yeah, we're going to pump it out.
Pump out the jam.
Pump it up. Get this
Even though
party
it's
started.
Pumping it up, but we're going to pump it out.
I want no dance to say. Get your booty
See, you
on.
don't know the words to any song. This is like a
day.
thing. This is a thing
Make
in our
my
marriage.
day.
Is that Dylan will sing songs all the time, and he has no fucking clue what the lyrics are, and he just makes shit up. And then I know the lyrics, and I have to explain them to you, and you'll be like, well, I never knew that's what he said.
No, I say, are you sure?
Yeah, well, that, and then be like, well, I didn't know that. And I'm like, obviously, because you just made up some shit. Like, I remember one time we were listening to Def Leppard. It was Pour Some Sugar on Me. And I was like, 1 lump or 2. And you were like, huh?
Yeah, I don't think that line's in there.
Yeah, but you're making up some other thing, like a camel has a hump and 2 or something.
Yeah, come dump in my shoe.
Something like that, yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I heard it.
You just make shit up.
All right, so until next time, we hope everybody has a great rest of your week. We will see you on the regular episode.
Stay dry.
Stay dry. Yes, keep it dry.
Keep that shit dry as a desert. Bye, Dylan.
Bye.